So just getting a text from him. So he's in transit at the moment. So I don't think we will wait for him. He'll be able to join us if he's able to. Do we have critical mass here to get started? Just looking at the first items and think we have people here. So let's go ahead and get started and call this meeting to order. So another fabulous edition of the Finance and Operations Committee meetings. We'll just jump right into the agenda. The first items are the information only items. Are there any comments or questions on any of the information only items? I had none. So if no one else does, we will move on into the agreements. Oh, there's Dr. Yarbrough. Okay, so here, nothing on that. We'll move on into the agreements. The first one, 3.1, is with Connecticut Teacher Residency Program. Ms. Booker.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello.
So I'm asking for approval for the contract with the Connecticut Correct Teacher Residency Program to bring on 2 teacher residents for the 25-26 school year. The residents will serve in an internship with the mentor teacher throughout the full year, modeling the mentor teacher will model, and then she will have a gradual release to the resident teacher to take over the classroom. And this is a way to get more diverse individuals into our district. As far as the retention rate for the teacher residency program, because I remember you asking about TFA. So they do have, over the past 3 years, they have 86% of their residents that have gone through the program have stayed with the district that they mentored. So I'm asking for an elementary position as well as a math position.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions for Ms. Booker? I had none either, so thank you very much. You anticipated the question I had, so.
Thank you.
All right, when we will move on to 3.2, which is an agreement with Common Ground Charter School. Ms. Jackson?
Yep, so this is in our agreement for Achievement First to provide special education services. I was here some time ago talking a little bit about somewhat of the dilemma and the return of contracts from our charter schools related to cost. So this was the agreement that we had with Common Ground, a negotiated cost. As you know, for the charter schools, we're going to start phasing in our own teachers, primarily from TFA. But for this year, again, the negotiated contract was an increase for $220,000 for Common Ground. And we have one charter school left. We still don't have a contract for it, but we're plugging away.
Thank you. Are there comments or questions? I had none either. Thank you very much. Item 3.3 is an agreement with Integrity Concepts. Dr. White?
Good afternoon. I'd like to start by sharing the timeline that we had for the past part-time custodial that Mr. Carter shared when he was serving us. So we're at the point in this timeline a little later than we intended to get it before F&O for approval and moving to the board. But this was the contract, the timeline that we were on where we've sent out the proposal, got them back, reviewed them, and made decisions about what we were going to do. So this was the contract that we were choosing to go to. This right now represents a cost of approximately $100,000 less than the contract that we're currently in for 24-25. There was 2 lower bids, but it wasn't clear what the total cost would be after adding everything in. So when we looked at all of the groups, we had them come in. We had some of those that scored the highest coming to interview them to get further details. This group has a local office in Bridgeport. Some of the others were out of state and wanted to use our facilities as their home office. Service Master as a company was founded in 1929. The extra work amount was 35.88. And the attendance tracker system was one of the things that we liked very much, as there were numerous issues about making sure we can account for work and staff. And they can have their staff up and running in 45 days. Their references all came back as excellent. And this is the group through the procurement process that we put forward to do our part-time custodial for this year.
All right, thank you, Dr. White. Are there any comments or questions? Ms. Downer?
Yes, I have a few. This company, I guess, is doing business. Is this their parent company is Service Master?
Correct.
Okay. So, how many employees do they have?
I would have to get back to you with the exact number of hand.
Only because I know we were looking at a schedule that was going to try to bridge Local 271. So do we have anything on the table from Mr. Carter? Or are we just gonna go with a contractor and not use 271?
Right now, this is for the part-time contract. We are still exploring what other options are possible. But for this piece, it was to use the company.
Okay, so I noticed that also the last contract with Local 271 had, because they will still be in fruition, had a little org chart. Will this still be the same setup? An org chart that actually is between the board.
Delineates how.
So they put this org chart in place, which says that our Local 271 has an agreement with this org chart from ABM. So what happens with that? No one can speak to that org chart, because that org chart to me violates a union contract between the board and Local 271. So the union contract never was rectified to actually see that org chart in between with ABM.
Dr. Or
Wait, Dr. Negron got her hand up, but I'm not done with my questions. I just
I
wanted
thought
to
you had an answer to your question. I'm sorry. My
No.
mistake.
But maybe Dr. Negron has the answer, because I don't know if this was something legal or maybe it was something that should have been done. If it was legally done, that's fine, but the contract should have been rectified to reflect it.
I want to address the question regarding the org chart and Local 271. Again, Ms. Downer, I think you're referencing the contract service that we have with ABM. That one we are still exploring, as Dr. White mentioned. This is just the one for the part-time services. So this would be the one that, if everything goes well, this would be the company that would then be coming in to replace SJ Services. The one with ABM is the one that has that org chart that you're referencing, that we spoke about months ago. And that would be the one when we go into executing, whether it is a renewal or whatever we do in terms of our custodial services, that's where that particular org chart will come in play, to make sure that we are differentiating between our staff, our locals, and all of the union agreements.
So basically that org chart, while you're on the mic, but basically that org chart has roles in place that the facilities director or the facilities person that will sit under the COO should have certain credential to it. So you have the other local that's tied to that. I don't know. I mean, I'm just a little confused on how all these org charts are coming into play, and we still got the same situation. I mean, I don't understand what that is. And I really don't understand the org chart bypassing in our locals 271 reporting, bypassing the fact that we have an agreement with the board with this local, and we have an org chart in between them.
But Ms. Downer, this one's not the contract that deals with the org chart.
Right, this is the custodial.
Right, this is just the part-time custodian.
I get it,
Okay.
but I know we talked about buying equipment. I know we talked about, that's what Mr. Carter said. So I want to know if that's still on the table or that's not thought of, because we're still doing the same stuff.
That item is not the one that's on the agenda today. Today is just a part-time custodian.
So then I need to know also how many employees, because right now we're talking with the custodials now, they have part-time employees, which is 192?
186.
186. That'll be very important to know how many employees, and that will tell a big story on if you choose to do and write and buy equipment. So if you tell me that I'm going to be voting on a project or this contract that has 186 employees, then we're doing the same thing with different titles. That's exactly what you're telling me.
I just want to make sure again.
I need the answer to how many employees these folks are going to be employing and who are these employees, because I don't, when you swap names, you still get the same people. So are their employees going to be, I'm just hoping that we don't get SJ Services employees,
I got it.
That's just not going to work for me. It just will not work.
Thank you for clarifying that.
It will not work for me. So I'll just be really upfront with you. I will be pretty much not happy, and I will be talking about it because we're going to get the same results. It was good to see that you had a selection committee, including some of, Matt Brown and Dr. Billy. It includes all of those folks that are deeply involved and on the forefront, boots on the ground, and that's what I like to see. Everybody's involved in this, but I also want to make sure that we're just not talking, and thinking that those little passive words will entice me that we're going to buy equipment and I'm going to be waiting, because I'm going to hold you to it. And this is what I hear. And this is what I'm telling people out here. And then I'm sitting here on this committee and it's not happening. So we're not going to do that. We're going to be upfront, right? And say we're not doing that. So that's.
I want to be upfront that we're speaking about the part-time custodian.
Understand.
So we're going to talk about and answer your questions regarding part-time custodian. Okay. I believe, and Dr. White's going to follow up as the one leading this effort. I heard you say clearly you want to know how many employees is it that they're going to have.
How many part-time employees? Who's going to be excluded? Will SJ Services employees just slide over and change their name? I mean, that's what
all of those answers, okay. Dr. White, we're jotting down so that we can get you those answers.
Okay, so just be very clear, because if I go into school and I used to work for SJ Services, it's going to come out. So just be very clear. And then I also want to know, this office, the Servpro, is located in Ohio. And I noticed that sometime when Servpro does their insurance claims, nope. Is it Service Master?
Service Masters.
Service Master, yes. So when they go, I want to call their name right. When they go out and do insurance claims, and I noticed that I know a couple of people that they have actually, the pricing changes. So I know that they checked out on reference, but there's other areas that they do get involved with mediation of, when folks have flooding basements and stuff like that. So this not a Service Master is not it's really not, they're not how would you say, a stranger to restoration. They really aren't. But I've heard of horror stories dealing with them with home insurance claims. So I'm not saying I'm giving them all the benefit of the doubt, but I'm just wondering, what are we doing here? I don't want to be sitting here voting on stuff and we're doing the same thing, just changing names. You got to be upfront with me on that. The other thing is, can you disclose what other companies were bumped up against ServPro? Can you do that now, or you can't?
I would have to ask in terms of what the procurement rule is, and
Okay, no problem.
I just
No
don't want
problem.
to say it without knowing the correct process.
Okay, no problem. I'm fine with that. And that's it for now.
Mr. Wilcox, I just want to make sure that I have clarity before we finish this item. With the questions that we need to make sure that we get for Ms. Downer prior to the next meeting. Ms. Downer, so again, we heard the number of employees.
Mm-hmm.
Will they have employees that were previously with SJ? I believe I heard you say.
Yep.
Okay. Those are the two questions that I heard pertaining to this contract. If there's another one, I want to make sure that we have it and that I'm clear, Dr. White's clear, so that we can get you the answers prior to the next meeting.
The other one I had was who were the other bidders?
And I did want to say too that on that org chart that
again, the org chart doesn't pertain, so
okay,
I cannot give you
fine.
answers to the org
So
chart.
when the org chart comes up, trust me, I will have a lot of questions.
Of course.
All right.
And also,
oh yeah, wait. I wanted to know if the same employees from SJ Services was going to be employed with this company.
yes, we have that question down.
Okay. And I like the fact that they have now the attendance of, because that was in the last contract that SJ Services was responsible for that. But this company has taken the initiative to say, hey, I'm going to be responsible for my employees' attendance if they're not here. So that way we'll know if they actually did show up, and we're not paying people for not showing up.
That was a big part of in looking at this contract. That was a very big part of it.
Yep, I like that. But that's it. Thank you all, the members of the selection committee. I can't not thank you for all the work. I'm sure you all are very passionate about this too, because you work in those environments, and nobody wants to be sitting and working in a school building that's degrading. So I understand that. And thank you for your time.
Great, thank you, Ms. Downer. So just seeing if there's any other comments or questions. I had one or two. So, all right, I'm going to echo some of the comments of my colleague there. I did appreciate also the makeup of the committee, of the, some stakeholders of some of our larger schools that would have a lot of experience in some of these areas. Also, I do appreciate a cost savings next year of about $100,000 less than what we're paying for this year. And if I remember correctly, if we continued on and did our option on the additional year for SJ, that would have gone up by a couple $100,000. So I like that delta there. Yeah, so I think that kind of summed up my comments on this item. So hearing nothing else on this, let's move into amendments. The first one should be pretty easy because it is simply a change in funding code, funding source, and no other changes. Is that correct? This is the amendment to the agreement with Excel Academy.
That is correct, Mr. Wilcox.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments or questions on this? All right, hearing none, we'll jump into the amendment with Connecticut State Community College Gateway Campus. Ms. Diaz-Valencia.
Hi, good afternoon. This is an amendment with a request for a decrease of $30,311. This is based on the school readiness grant, which we are the fiscal pass-through, and the seat allocation was reduced by the New Haven Early Childhood Council. Nothing else changes. The agreement just goes from $507,311 to $477,000.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Hearing seeing none, we will move on to items 4.3 and 4.4 are related in that they are with the same vendor. So Ms. Jackson, could you start with 4.3?
Yep, I'll start with 4.3 and then explain the increase of 4.3 and then the increase in 4.4. 4.3 is for a variety of general legal services, but one of the things that we had Bertram Moses do this year, which is caused an increase, we've asked them to get involved with some very touchy Title IX cases. So that's been the difference this year for that particular contract is again, the additional work that we are sending their way as it relates to Title IX. For the special education, it's not an increase of amount of litigation, but the litigation type. So if I can explain it this way, if you fully litigate a case, it is extremely expensive, which is what's happened this year in a particular case. So that's where you see the increase, but that's not typical. That may be something that we see, once in a blue moon.
All right, thank you very much. Comments or questions on either 4.3 or 4.4? Ms. Downer?
So what I would like to see really is, that I would like to see for the amount of money we spend for attorney fees, we need an attorney on staff. That's what I would like to see. Because after a while, the attorney fees start growing. And every corporation, regardless of not for profit, they have attorneys. It's common. But we need to maybe put something out there so we could tone this attorney fees down. To me, it's excessive. And if you and it's an HR decision, so it is really excessive. We have to learn how to be cost effective on litigation. It is common. That's why Attorney Alexiata is here from the city Corp Counsel. We need counsel. So whatever that is, we got to try to bring that back. I'm just saying.
Yep.
This is
Ms. Downer. Yep. I just want to say, I hear your point. And certainly Corp Counsel is doing the things that we have to do. I think that what we see by way of the investment, if we don't have attorneys specifically with specific specialty areas, the amount of money that we could potentially put out is great. But I definitely hear your point about to what extent can we do things in-house? We should do that. But I just want to offer to you that there are some things that are very specialized. And if we don't have people with that level of expertise, the amount of money that we could potentially put out, may be far more than what you see here. So I hear what you're saying and appreciate that.
I know a corporate attorney usually range from about maybe sometime 200 grand. I know the pricing. And I know it's possible. So there are people that specialize in every little thing. And I know they do. It's the fact of how do we find that talent? Where is it? Because that's what we need to be looking for. Attorney fees and increasing and everything else. By the time you rack up $2 million, I'm pretty sure a staff attorney is not getting paid $2 million on the city level. So let's be real here. So we got to do something different. We got all these vendors. Why not get an attorney? Sorry, had to put it out there.
That's fine.
All right, thank you, Ms. Downer. President Yarbrough?
Hi, thank you. Yes, just a clarifying question for me. When we work with, so I'm trying to think about case mode, just thinking about the conversation at hand. When it comes to case mode, we have several attorneys through Beecham and Mosum versus one person, or how does it work in terms of like our demand that we are asking of them?
Well, that absolutely comes into play as well. I think some of the attorney fee also based on some of the litigation that we have. It's not necessarily just because of their general cost. It's also about the amount of litigation, unfortunately, that we may see, which increases the cost. But, both agencies, I know that we use Bertram and we also use Shipman. There's, several different attorneys with certain expertise, and then certainly with the help of Mr. Alexiadis, who helps us with some things internally. But I will offer, again, even with the amount of litigation that we have in our district tries to be as fiscally responsible as possible to use Mr. Alexiadis when possible. And in some of the other areas, certainly we farm out or siphon out to other folks. But again, we can't control the amount of litigation that happens, unfortunately, which also drives the cost.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Before I move to Attorney Alexiadis, just as a point of information is that we do have an agreement with the city for Attorney Alexiadis and for a procurement person, and that is due to be renewed before the end of this fiscal year. Last year, we did approve also the city seeking to hire an additional attorney, and my understanding is that they were not able to find somebody to hire to do the work at the price that we could afford and is called for by the Corp Counsel's office. But I believe we'll hear more about that because we'll have to renew the current agreements with the city for those two positions and potentially adding to the Corp Counsel attorneys dealing with educational issues. So, Attorney Alexiadis?
I just wanted to note that with regard to search for additional attorneys, we have 2 interviews scheduled this week for one position, but we don't know how those are going to go. And we have historically posted a labor relations attorney position with the Board of Ed, and have not had a good response for that. So,
all right, thank you. Ms. Downer?
But I still would just like to highlight the fact that if we add up all the attorney fees for the year, it could be that if we need a special education attorney, if we need a labor attorney, whatever their specialty is, you just have to pay them. I mean, it really won't outweigh having an attorney on staff. I'm sorry. It just won't. I'm sorry. You save costs. You do save costs. You do save costs. Trust me. Most corporations have their attorney staff and they're deep in every specialty. Mm-hmm. So they have 10 attorneys sitting there and they're paying each attorney $200,000. It doesn't outweigh. If you have 5 attorneys, that's $1 million than what you're paying every time they come back in. When you don't have something locked in is when you have their salaries locked in. You do save. Sorry, but they're out there. We just need to find them.
Thank you, Ms. Downer. Attorney Alexiadis?
Yeah, thank you. Just one other thing I wanted to add is that the education department's legal expense budget does not reflect the entire legal expense on behalf of the district. As you all may or may not be aware, that my office handles a number of cases in-house already, and there are also cases that are handled by outside counsel under the corporation counsel's budget, and they're typically panel counsel for approved by insurance companies. So our actual legal spend is more than what you see in these and the 2 amendments that are before us at the moment, and the other legal expense line items.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions on this item? Hearing none. So this was items 4.3 and 4.4. Hearing none on that, we'll move on to purchase orders. The first one is with Irwin Seating Company. Mr. Erline?
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jeff Standrovich representing facilities today.
Thank you.
This amendment serves 2 purposes. One, to change the dates and move the funding into the next fiscal year. And number 2, to reduce the amount of funding. The first time it went through board, there was an error on the proposal that we just recently discovered.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions? Ms. Downer?
Is this the seating for Flack?
This is the seating for Conti Auditorium.
Conti. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hearing nothing else on this, we'll move on to 5.2, which is with the purchase order of Daleen hardwood flooring for Wilbur Cross Auditorium.
Yes, this is a project that comes out of the SLFRF or SLURF funding. We hope to accomplish this summer to replace the carpeting in Wilbur Cross Auditorium.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions? I had none either, so we'll move on to 5.3, which is purchase order of Connecticut Controls.
I'll address the next two. Both 5.3, 5.4 are with Connecticut Controls to upgrade the building automation controls, one at Fairhaven and one at Worthington Hooker Middle School, also part of the SLURF funding.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions on 5.3 or 5.4? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to 5.5, which is the first of two purchase orders with SHI International. Mr. Simeone? You're muted.
Thank you. 5.5 and 5.6, I'm pulling for tonight because I'm not entirely convinced that these are the right products for the district. Both of these products are feature rich, and we have some of these capabilities in the current software that we're using with Microsoft. So I wanted to have more time to analyze this and to make sure that we're making the right decision. Secondly, I was able to, on the 5.6, the Clever product, I was able to reduce our expenses by $11,000 on the software by going directly to Clever with that versus going to HSI. And I also obtained a 3-year contract with them, which is about 10% less than paying it on an annual contract. So the Securely software, they're saying that they need it for identity protection, for scanning activities within the students' systems. But again, there are other products that we have that can do that. So I want to come back at the next meeting with more information on both these products. There was a question in the last meeting regarding why did we go through SHI for our Microsoft licensing. What we have at the board and also at the city is we go through we have volume licensing through Microsoft, and that has to go through a VAR. You can't buy that directly from Microsoft. The advantage of doing that is you get better support on the product. You also have the ability to true up at once a year. So for example, if we purchase 1,000 licenses of Microsoft Office, and throughout the year we add 100 people, we don't have to pay the licensing cost on those 100 people until our annual renewal of our licensing agreement. So, and we also have the ability to reduce the number of licenses. So let's say we had 1,000 users of the software at the beginning of the year. At the end of our license agreement, we have 800 users. We're able to reduce our cost by 200 users on those licenses agreements. If we went directly to Microsoft, we wouldn't be able to do that.
All right, thank you very much. So just to clarify, 5.5 and 5.6, the administration's pulling with the plan of bringing something related to it back at a next meeting or a future meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you for your due diligence on that.
Thank you.
And taking another look at these.
Mhm.
Saving every penny is going to be important this next year. All right. Okay.
I have a comment.
Oh, please, Dr. Yarbrough.
Yes. Yeah. Also, just wanted to say thank you for going back and doing the research on that. Also, Ms. Downer for bringing up the points about the difference between buying directly versus to one versus the other, and us getting that information back. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, I echo those comments as well. So, okay, we will move on into contracts. The first one is with MGD Graphics.
Do you want to restart? 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 Is that better?
That was a new one, yeah.
Sorry about that. So this is the supplies for the print shop for the year. So I typed up a response to your thing, but just in case that way, because I tried to answer all the questions and say what it was for. Sure. So the majority of the print work is conducted for New Haven Public Schools and the Board of Education. So the internal support helps reduce reliance on outside vendors, saving significant costs for the district. It also helps our students learn how to do the different jobs. So it directly impacts the students while helping the district kind of reduce any costs we have. We try to each year reduce like the overall bid amount, but due to the uncertainty with tariffs and everything else, I was trying to go out to bid and get estimates, and everything was showing like large increases at the time because the vendors had to guarantee a price for 12 months. So in order to cover them, there was around 15 to 60% increases. So I got them to agree to, instead of bidding this year, to renew the contract. So it'd be the first time renewing the contract with them. The print shop also helps cover a lot of the printing for the city. So we support all the other city departments by providing the services in-house to alleviate printing expenses across the entire city, which basically benefits the broader city budget. So by saving money for the health or police or fire, hopefully the larger pot saves money, so there's more available when we need it. It's also offset by the shared services they provide to New Haven Public Schools. So like the police department has resource officers, the parks department will help with our fields, which they don't charge us for back. And so it goes back and forth that way. For nonprofit groups and other like non-city printing, which is mostly like teacher requests for funeral programs or stuff that way, we usually operate on a somewhat cost recovery model. We try to cover the cost of all the materials used in the project. We don't try to capture back the like hours or the I guess the building cost or anything when we go back out to them or recover the cost, but we try to at least say the minimum price that they have to give back to the district would be any of the materials we use to produce their projects. So it's mainly for the organizations that are community-based and partner with the school. So a lot of times the stuff we're printing help benefit our students directly. And then overall, like we try to keep the exact same price, just so it wouldn't go up at all was the tricky thing. It's even though we're spending the same this year, it'd be tricky to get the same thing back just because of the overall inflation and other increase in costs since it's a commodities bid.
All right, thank you, Mr. Latella. Any comments or questions?
Yes.
Dr. Yarbrough.
Yes. Two things. One, I appreciate your approach in working with the vendor to try to think about what increased costs might be coming that we don't know of with tariffs, et cetera, and locking in the same price as last year. So thank you for your forethought there. And the second piece is, I was going to say, it sounds like this printing program is the best kept secret in the city, but it sounds like a lot of people know about it. A lot of people utilize it. So sometime in the future, in a future year, it might be nice to see a balance sheet or report in terms of whether or not the cost or how much of the cost have been recouped through the services, whether or not any of our machinery in terms of maintenance or replacement, if those costs can also be recouped. And if there are any of our students who go on to printing or graphic professions or otherwise do any work post graduation as it relates to the skills, soft skills and technical skills that they learned working with you, I think that would be a great report to share also. So definitely not a request or an assignment, today. And sometime in the future, I would love to see that, to be able to celebrate it. So thank you for your work and leadership.
Thank you very much. It actually was highlighted on, I think it was CNN or whatever. They did do a special on it to show like what's right with our schools too.
That's excellent.
Is there a link to that?
I can try to find it. Hang on.
Okay. Ms. Downer?
Now this is the printing room in Cross, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to visit. It's amazing.
Thank you.
See our students actually doing the printing.
Mhm.
Love
Actually,
it.
a bunch here now, still working.
I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the compliment.
All right. Thank you. As people have been in this meeting over the years have known, I love this program. One of my first jobs in high school was in a print shop. And so it was visiting your print shop was just like, reliving a bit of past, new equipment for sure, but also, some things are the same.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, we try to have a little bit of everything for the students. So we have back from the original printing presses all the way to digital ones now. So no matter what field they go into, they have a little bit of knowledge on each thing. Plus, it helps with our efficiency because we can choose the right machine for the right job.
All right, thank you very much. Next, hearing nothing else on this, the next item is 6.2, contract with Tucker Mechanical.
Okay, good afternoon once again. This request for contract is to upgrade and retrofit 4 rooftop cooling units at Ross Woodward from the near obsolete R22 refrigerant to a current refrigerant.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions? Ms. Downer?
So we have 4 units on top of Brams that's going to be replaced for air cooling units at 82K each. I'm so interested to know, wasn't there some work recently done on
These are at Ross Woodward.
Oh, Ross Woodward. Okay, I'm Ross Woodward. Well, 82K sounds good. I wonder if we were paying that or this is just a keep your business price.
I can tell you that to replace the full replacement of 4 units would be probably double this amount.
Okay, so is this a Band-Aid?
Well, yes. You're allowed to run R22 as long as it still exists, but to make repairs with it, you can't purchase it anymore. Or if you can, it is extremely, extremely expensive. So it makes more economical sense to update to modern refrigerants.
All right, so how old are the units itself? Because it sounds like you got a retrofit on them, but how old are the units?
I'm sorry, I don't have the exact date of the unit.
Okay. Because I'm worried that we may have a call that, hey, the units aren't working. We got to get something temporary over there with the Band-Aids. If we got like a 40-year unit up there.
These retrofits are a near rebuild. It's the same box, but all of the internal components get replaced along with the refrigerant.
All right, so they're going to build on site?
Yes.
Okay. Will the school be utilized?
Yes, it can be.
But
they're on the roof. The objective is to get it done during the summertime. But it's work that occurs on the roof.
Are we working in the school that summer? Maybe someone from the school system could answer that. Not you, Charlie. Are we going to be in that school for the summer?
I'm sorry, what school was it?
Ross.
While she looks that up, I can add that
No.
they're 4 units of several that are there, so it's not the whole school that's down, only sections.
But you got to keep in mind, sometimes the schools have zone heat. So these units may be specialized to each zone. So I'm just worried that if the pricing had went up and say for instance, we had a full, like the school was being used, then we need a unit over there that will compensate for that unit that's down while they actually retrofitting. So I mean, that's what I was looking at. So no one's going to be in the school. That's fine. That's
No
all.
one will be there this summer.
All right, thank you. Because then it will be calling for, oh, let's go back to the committee and ask for an additional 60 grand for a temp air condition unit for the left side and the north side of the building. You know, we got to start thinking ahead like that. That's all. Respectfully, done.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or questions on this? Thank you. Moving on, final action item is the data sharing agreement with iReady Math. Mr. Nguyen?
Yes, good evening. So, resubmitting this about the personalized learning MOU from iReady. They're looking at getting de-identified teacher and student information in regards to 20 schools, and they are listed there.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions on this? Dr. Yarbrough?
Yes, thank you for your work on this. I have a couple positive observations. One question: has the agreement or the MOU changed any from the last time it was presented? Okay.
Yes. So the changes were the naming of the schools and the removal of the teacher email.
Okay, thank you. As I read the document again before this meeting, one thing that I saw that I appreciated was the mention of de-identified information. Also the use of student ID numbers, but not student names. And it also looks like teacher ID numbers, but not teacher names. So I think that is what I read. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on this?
I'm good.
All right.
No, thank you.
I'm good.
Since we're all good, I'll go ahead and make the motion I move that we send to the full board these 3 agreements, 4 amendments, purchase orders 5.1, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4, the 2 contracts and the 1 MOU.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Downer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Ms. Downer?
Yes.
President Yarborough?
Yes.
I'm a yes as well, so those items move. And we'll jump on into the March and April budget reports. So Ms. Hannons and Ms. Bourne.
Okay. Good evening. It's just Miss Hannon's show tonight. Christina is away at a graduation, so it's just me tonight. Okay. This month we're going to be showing you the quarterly financial report along with the monthly financial report as of April the 30th for the general funds budget and for the special funds budgets. So our total expenditures for this period are $207 million, with the general funds have spent 68.22% of their adopted budget thus far, and the special funds expenditures are right now at 65.4 million, or 61% of the current budget. So first, we're going to go into our general fund budget, and as we do with every report, we give you a little synopsis of how to read the financial report and for the period that it entails. So for the general fund report, this is the monthly report for March 31st, and as you can see, it just shows you the encumbrances at 62.2 64.5. Year to date was 64.6. And we had available $11 million. Our full year expenditure forecast was 212. So you can see that we were showing a 4.4 shortfall. And the next slide is the April report, which is showing you that we've spent 68.2 to 22% of the budget, with monthly encumbrances of, and I'm sorry, I can't read my own slides. If you could just bear with me a minute, which is the 62 April. Okay, so it should its monthly encumbrance is $55 million, with the variable $10 million, well, almost $11 million remaining. Full year variance is still the $4.4 million. And the next slide just basically shows you, if you want a line item detail, it shows you where our expenditures are, and broken out by category. You'll see our substitutes, our overtime, and our overtime basically is always in the security line, or very small in the custodial line. But we've been meeting and we've been working to cut down overtime costs wherever we possibly can. There are other costs, as you can see going through the slides, you can look at, and it just shows you where our expenditures are. We still are having large expenditures in our tuition line and our transportation lines, which are always in our expected. You can keep going, Dr. White. And again, this is just for reporting purposes. And so this is basically taken off our year-to-date monthly financial reports. Our next report, for the changes, like you'll see the actual grant supports to date. So this would be any adjustments that we've made. In some grants, we have to do it on a monthly basis, or either we do them quarterly. So this is the adjustments made just far. We want the additional funding that the city had given us has been applied, and again, our overtime is being monitored, and then our substitute costs also continue to be monitored. We have tuition costs with the House Bill 71.63. We received an additional, I think it's 1.6, closer to 1.7. So that will be reflected in our next report. Our next report. And then our contractor services, we've been managing very closely, and not that we haven't in the past, but that we're showing a better position due to negotiation with major contracts, and we're receiving credits wherever we possibly can where there are disputes. Our utility costs continue to be monitored. We're working with the city. There was an overcharge which we have gotten back, so that should reduce our costs for utilities over the course of the year. And then our final snow removal change orders are complete, and of course it showed an increase in cost over the prior year, but those numbers are now reflected in the financial report. Next slide, please. And then the mitigation efforts are basically, we continue to look at all expenditures, budget lines, and find cost savings wherever we can. We've basically frozen all additional expenditures with the exception of graduations, because at this point of the year with our supplies and materials, only emergency purchases are going through, and the schools have been very helpful in making sure that they have the supplies that they need, or if someone has a surplus, then they are willing to share for the time being. Our tuition costs, we're still looking at out-of-district tuition costs, and which are still rising, but we're having monthly meetings with those. We've been doing it for 2 years to try to see where we can have better accounting of the costs that are coming in a little earlier. But I have to say that the two departments have worked very well this year, so our numbers are basically on target. And we continue to work with various programs where we're asking that if there's a program that is using our buildings and we are not in the buildings at the time where we don't have any programs running, we're looking for additional costs to cover our custodial and security costs, because we're thinking that, especially in the finance world, if you're the one using the building, then you should cover the additional cost. While we believe in cost sharing, but there are times when there's only like one outside program in the building, which can be expensive to us. So that what we're doing is we're saying, if we get grants that are coming in, try to make sure that we build in the budget custodial and security costs to try to offset some of the costs that are being incurred for that program. Let's see. And then with the special funds financial report, next slide, you can see here where we have, oh, I'm sorry. If you can go back one, Dr. White, as you can see here, our grant expenditures by category right now, we have $30.2 million left. So we spent 61.12%. The reason for this is some grants are more than one fiscal year, but they do have requirements that you spend a certain amount each year. The second slide, basically tells you again how to read the grant revenue report, because if you look at the slide, you'll see there are a lot of columns in the next slide that I'm going to show you, which is this one. So this is a summary of our grants revenue. And as you can see, back in 2023-24, we had $144 million. We were able to carry over 22 million, and most of those were in the ARP ESSER funding or grants that were like, say, one to 5 years out, because we do have grants that are more than 1 year. In the C column, you could see that we received funding we received is the 84. And the pending approvals, we only have one out there now, which is open choice. Hopefully that would be in any day now. And then that column D will then be 0. So our total amount of funding for the this fiscal year is 107. And I want to point that out, because as we talk about our budgets and lack of funding, as you can see now with the ending expiration date of the ARPA funds, that we're starting to go backwards in terms of losing funding, and it's very important. So if you look at this second chart, I think it's the second chart that's coming up. So you can see that we're down about maybe $58.7 million, which is a large drop based on our previous funding years, which should be of concern to all of us, because it's like a lot of these grants, while a lot of the grants, when we write them now, we make sure that the items that we purchase are sustainable, and that we won't need to go back and keep going back for the same items. We try not to put staff on these grants wherever we can, unless the grant is to supplement or provide additional support services. And part of our application was to request additional funding. Next slide. And here it just basically shows you, this slide here is what I was alluding to earlier, and it shows you how the grants are broken out by category. So you can see with the field trips, the fixed costs, very little in fees, travel mileage, employee benefits, and full-time salaries are some of our biggest expenses. But these salaries here are basically supplemental services, not your daily, like classroom teachers and stuff like this. A lot of these are like maybe counselors or just additional support services. And I think that is it for my presentation today. So if we have any questions, I'm here.
All right, thank you. Are there comments or questions for Ms. Hannons? Ms. Downer?
I don't have any. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for really, giving the city all these years. It's I'm telling you, I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Indeed, thank you for that and for this report and for your offices and everybody involved in the districts chasing the deficit for an entire year, trying to find ways to reduce that. I'll just mention is that there is a rally on the Capitol at the state Capitol this coming Wednesday that the unions and the Connecticut for All group is organizing around public education funding in Hartford at 4 p.m. So I'm planning on being there, and hopefully we can put a little bit of pressure on folks to try to alleviate some of these things where we have more equitable funding in Connecticut, which would help solve these budget deficits, give the kids what they deserve. So,
And while I have the opportunity to, I would just like to say I've enjoyed working with this board, and I thank this board for the tough questions that you ask, because it makes us all put on our thinking cap and say, oh God, okay, did we do this right? Did we cross our I's, and did we, dot our I's and cross our T's? Cross our T's. The work is just going to get tougher because of the fact that for years we've always had these grants to cover or to supplement the work that we do here in New Haven. And I must say that a lot of programs have been implemented using these funds. And I just hope that we continue the push to try to make sure that we keep the programs where we can, but knowing that on the other side, you can only raise taxes so much. So it's important that we all keep our eyes on the dollar. And I'm not going to say that I'm going to miss numbers, but but I am going to miss the work and the relationships and the people that I've had the pleasure of working with. And I just want to thank you all.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. And we'll still get a couple more reports, right?
Yes, of course.
More chances to express our thanks in a month or two. Okay, looking at the rest of the agenda here, the next item is an update on King Robinson School facilities related projects. It's not listed with a name on this.
Well, I can jump in. I sent the information to Dr. Negron earlier today, but I can give you a quick rundown of projects at King Robinson. For starters, there are some chiller repairs needed, and that was on the agenda just a short while ago. There is a project to add a gym divider curtain to separate the gymnasium into two parts. That has been ongoing for some time, but the equipment will not arrive to complete in June. We're going to move that to complete in the summertime in the next fiscal year. There is a playground project to replace the surface, and we're awaiting proposals from a vendor for that. A few smaller items. There is a gate repair for the playground. We are looking into enhancing the sound and speakers in the cafetorium. There are some repairs needed to the exterior parking lot lighting, and a few other even smaller pending work order requests.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Ms. Downer.
So King Robinson has been waiting 3 years to get this divider, this gym divider. Why keep getting pushed out? Is the money there?
So it was a litany of several different items. There was money. There was a vendor selected by the school when facilities got involved, and then that vendor failed to meet criteria to work in the city. So we essentially had to start over from scratch. And then it went back out for proposals. We arrived at another vendor to which the purchase order was ordered earlier this year, but they have not been able to procure the equipment to install and then invoice by the end of the fiscal year.
So the 28K for that was used for ESSER, that's not sitting in ESSER or was used for something else?
I'm not sure of the funding. I don't have that in front of me right now.
Could someone answer from the school district?
Yes, that money was repurposed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for the update on those projects. Next item is, are there any upcoming financial issues you all want to give us a heads up about? Okay. Hearing none. Move on to 11. 11 is regarding the data sharing policies. Just as a reminder, about 2 years ago, this committee, we worked through the changing the data sharing policies, sent it to governance. Due to their schedule, it hasn't been taken up yet, but we've had a recent questions regarding data sharing agreements over the last couple of weeks. So we wanted to take a look at this. This is something I know that President Yarbrough is very interested in. So I'm thinking we'll just table this, but also to ask people just to be aware of this, to look over the materials, because we will take another look at it to maybe tweak what we've already done, but or take a completely fresh look at it and send it back to governance so that it takes into light some of the things we've learned over the last few weeks with the MOUs regarding data sharing. So unless there's an objection, we'll just carry that on into the next meeting so that President Yarbrough can join us on that. Okay. Hearing none, I guess we're ready to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
I will second it. How do you vote, Ms. Downer?
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Good evening.